They stole my money, my trust, and my birthday, so I stole their future. My phone buzzed at 3:35 in the morning. It was a bank alert. As soon as I saw it, I felt like all the air had left my body. My account showed minus $45,516.21. That much money just gone. I sat straight up in bed, staring at the number on the screen, hoping maybe it would change if I blinked enough times. But it didn't. My name is Jacqueline Wilson. If you're watching this, please keep listening. I want to tell you something that changed my life forever. It started with that one number. That number told me the truth about my family. Something I wish I had known earlier. This all happened during the week of my 32nd birthday. I didn't waste time. I picked up my phone and called my dad. He answered on speaker. I could hear music in the background and my mom laughing like everything was fine. Hey Dad, something's wrong with my account, I said. My card is maxed out. Did something happen? There was a short pause. Then his voice came through. Annoyed. You're always so dramatic. The family needed help. Your mom had surgery. Your brother's truck broke down, and the mortgage was behind. I just sat there, shocked. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Why didn't you ask? Me? I finally asked. He didn't even hesitate. We don't need to ask. You owe us. Then my mom chimed in with a cold laugh. Besides, she said, what were you going to do with that money? Buy yourself some cake and candles? We had better plans. There was silence after that. A deep, painful silence. And that silence was the last birthday gift they gave me. I took a breath and said calmly, then don't ever call me again. And I meant it. I hung up the phone and went straight to work. I logged into every account I had. I checked every automatic payment. I went through every agreement I had signed. They thought that because I was the responsible one, the one who made it, that they could take from me forever. But that night, I decided something. I became the one who cuts the TIs, the mortgage. Cancelled. It was in my name. My mom's credit couldn't get approved. So I had done it. The truck? Repossessed the next day by noon. My bank marked it as unauthorized. Use. I didn't argue. Her student loans? Frozen. I had co-signed. But now I pulled back because of financial stress. I removed myself from everything quietly. No fights. No warnings. No big scenes, just quiet steps away. I turned all that pain into action, into clean, clear steps. And their birthday present to themselves stealing from me became the moment they lost me for good. The next morning, my phone lit up like a fire. There were so many missed calls and messages. One after another, texts kept coming in. Some were angry, some were confused. And then, just like that, they turned sweet. One message said, Jacqueline, the truck is gone. What's going on? Another said, honey, did something happen with the mortgage? The bank says it's in default. Then, just call us. We're family. Family. That word only seems to matter to them when something goes wrong. When things start falling apart. Where was that word when they emptied my bank account? Where was it when they used me without asking? I didn't respond to any of them. I was too busy. I spent that day freezing my credit. I changed every password. I called every company, every agency, and removed myself from anything that connected me to them. I was cutting the cords they had been using for years. They forgot something important. I wasn't just a nice person. I was the one in control. My name was on the truck. My name was on the house. I was the CO signer, the backup, the emergency contact. They used me like a debit card that never ran out. And they thought because I loved them, they could keep doing it forever. But this wasn't about the $45.00. It was about how easily they did it. No guilt, no second thoughts. They didn't even ask. They ruined my birthday the day I turned 32 with. Cold hands and selfish choices. These were the same people who taught me what love was supposed to look like. But now it felt fake. Like they sold me a tree and signed my name at the bottom without asking. I went back and read some old messages from last Christmas. We're proud of you, kid. You're a success story. We don't say it enough, but you're our miracle. I used to cry when I read those. Now I just felt empty. If I was really a miracle, then why did they treat me like an ATM with a heartbeat? So I did to them what they had done to me quietly. I disconnected everything. I ended every tie while they called and texted and begged. I finally took a deep breath for the first time. I wasn't the one trying to fix everything. I wasn't the helper. I was the wall they could no longer get through. And I wasn't done yet. By Saturday. They were so desperate they came to my house. I watched through the peephole. My dad was on the porch, red-faced, walking in circles like he owned the place. My MOM was crying loudly in her leopard print sweater, louder than the doorbell, but I didn't open the door. I didn't say a word. I let them yell through the door. They screamed and shouted, but to me, it was just noise. Yelling doesn't mean anything when it doesn't come with respect. They stayed outside for about 12 minutes, banging on the door, begging me to listen, and even throwing out threats. Jacqueline, you're ruining everything. We trusted you. How could you do this to your own family? I just sat calmly on the couch, sipping coffee from a mug they had given me 2 birthdays ago. It had the words "one daughter" on it, kind of funny now. Isn't it? I didn't answer the door. I waited until the noise stopped. Then I opened my laptop and sent one final email to my lawyer. T was all there for disconnection from them. I removed power of attorney and all financial links and cut every shared responsibility. That meant no more family phone plan. No more Amazon Prime I had paid for over 7 years. No more Hulu or Netflix in my name. No more utility bills under my credit, especially since Mom's credit couldn't qualify. I shut it all down. Later that same afternoon, I saw my MOM post something on Facebook. It was one of those vague emotional messages. It said, "It's always the ones you love most who hurt you the deepest." She didn't tag me, but I knew it was about me. Her friends flooded the comments. You raised her to soft. She owes you everything. Kids today are so entitled. Entitled. I gave them everything, not because I had to, but because I believed in family. I believed love meant helping, supporting, and being there. But they turned that idea of family into a weapon. They used it to take from me again and again. That night, I changed my phone number before I shut it off. I left one final voicemail. I said, "You chose being comfortable over being honest. You broke the trust I spent years building. Now, you can rebuild without me." Then I blocked every number. No dramatic goodbye. No revenge plan, just quiet. The same quiet they gave me every time they took something without asking. But now the silence finally belonged to me. The next day, I got a text from my cousin Joyce. "Did you really shut off the gas at your parents' house?" "It's freezing, Jacqueline. They have no heat." I stared at the message for a full minute before replying. I didn't shut it off. I just stopped paying for it. There was no response. Just those 4 little dots like she was typing. Then nothing. That silence hit harder than any insult. Later that day, I got an email from my MOM. It was from a random address I didn't recognize. The subject line read, "Please read this." The email said, "We didn't raise you to be like this." I didn't open it. I didn't need to, because here's what she never understood. They did raise me to be like this. They raised me by teaching me that love had to be earned, that being part of the family meant doing things for them, fixing problems, and cleaning up their messes. They taught me that my worth depended on how much I could give, how much I could carry, and how quiet I could stay about it. So yes, when I cut off the gas, took back the truck, stopped paying the mortgage, and pulled my name off the loans, I wasn't being cruel. I was just returning everything they gave me. All the years of pressure, silence, and guilt wrapped up as parenting. My dad once said, "Family doesn't keep score." He said that right after I paid for his second DU, I find his stopped keeping score, and instead, I closed the whole account that same month. I started going to therapy. My therapist asked me, "When did you first feel like you were responsible for your parents?" Without thinking, I answered, "When I was 14. MOM cried because she couldn't pay the electric bill, so I got a job sweeping hair after school. That was the moment I realized I wasn't being raised. I was doing the raising. I was the one holding things together. And all I've done now is grow up and walk away from the people who stayed stuck in place." I didn't feel guilty. I felt clear, because the truth is, choosing yourself can feel like an attack to the people who only saw you as someone to use. And I'm not available anymore. Not for fixing. Not for saving. Not for sacrifice. They renamed the family group chat without me. Threads I created were now being used to talk behind my back. Joyce, my cousin, sent me screenshots. She didn't even add a message this time, just forwarded what they were saying. "Jacqueline's heartless. We gave her everything, food, clothes, a roof. She got successful and forgot where she came from." Let me remind you where I came from. I came from eviction notices taped to the windows. I came from watching my MOM fake seizures to get bill extensions. I came from my dad borrowing money and calling it a gift. They say I should be grateful. But I turned survival into something better. I took what little I had and created stability, not just for me, but for all of us. But they didn't want stability. They wanted control. They wanted me to stay small, stay thankful, stay dependent, because my growth forced them to face their own choices. And now I'm done playing that role. When I finally stood up for myself, they called me cold, heartless, ungrateful. They forgot all the times I paid for dinner, the Christmas gifts I bought that made the holidays feel special, the birthday parties I planned and paid for, even though they never remembered mine. They only remembered what I gave, not how often they took. Joyce messaged me again. I know it's messy, she said. But they're still your parents. I started typing, then paused, deleted my first reply. Then I wrote, if you break someone again and again, you don't get to act surprised when they stop coming home. Then I blocked the thread and muted the guilt. That night, I posted one short message to my small group of friends online. Boundaries don't make you mean. They just make the silence easier to live in. Within hours, messages poured in. People I knew. People I didn't. I needed this. I have been Jacqueline too. Thank you for saying what I couldn't. I didn't need the family's version of me anymore. The version where I was the selfish daughter, the ungrateful sister. That version was never real. I had rewritten myself. And this new version of me wasn't here to perform or earn forgiveness. She was here to live. It was Thursday. Rain tapped on the windows like a soft knock. I lit a candle, made some tea, and for the first time in a long time, I just sat still. I felt peace. Then my phone buzzed out. It was a voicemail from my MOM, Jacqueline. It's your MOM. Your dad fell and broke his leg. We're at county. No insurance. They won't do the surgery unless we pay part of it. We know you're upset, but this is serious. This is family. Please just call back. For 4 minutes, I didn't move. I stared at the phone like it was a ticking bomb. I knew that voice, the tone, the one she used when she needed something. The one that pulled me back in. Not with love, but with pressure. There was never an apology. Just an emergency. I opened my laptop, pulled up a spreadsheet. The truth? I could afford it. I had the money, but then I opened another folder one I had named History. Inside were emails, screenshots, and account statements. Proof of everything. The time they emptied my bank account without asking. The birthday they forgot but still charged dinner to my card. The $45,000 they stole and called it helping the family. I stared at it all, and just like that, their new emergency didn't feel like mine. It felt like another trap, a new guilt wrapped in the same old pain. So I didn't call back. Instead, I let the rain keep tapping, and I stayed still. I didn't write a check to the hospital. I wrote one to myself, a deposit into what I now call my peace fund, a promise that I will protect my peace even when guilt tries to sneak back in. And it did try. Guilt always finds a way in, whispering, you should help. You're the good one. But this time I didn't listen. I slammed that door shut. I texted Joyce. Tell them I hope he heals, but I'm not going to hurt myself again just to fix their pain. She didn't respond, and for the first time, that silence didn't hurt. It didn't sting. It felt like fresh air. It felt like freedom. That night, I slept with the window open, a little just enough to let the cool air in. I didn't keep my phone next to the bed. No buzzing. No late night panic. For once, I wasn't bracing for something bad. I wasn't waiting for a call or a crisis or someone to need me again. I was just resting, because letting go of people who never respected your worth, that isn't being mean, that's choosing to live. And I was finally living, really living by my rules. A few weeks later, I walked into my cousin Christine's wedding. I went with my head high and my heart strong. I didn't go to please anyone. I went because Christine mattered to me. She was the one who always saw me not as the family fixer, but just as Jacqueline. Even before I had the career or the strength to say no, I knew my parents would be there. I expected it. M.O.M. wore a tight dress she probably couldn't afford. Dad had a cane and wore a rented tux. The limp looked more like a performance than pain. As soon as I walked into the hall, I felt their eyes on me. Not warm, not loving, just watching, measuring me. I wore black satin not to mourn, but to show that I was no longer the little girl they could control. I wasn't there to make peace. I was there as my own person. They didn't say a word, but their looks said everything. Talk to us. Fix this. Do what you always do. But I didn't move. I didn't shrink. I sat at a table with Christine's friends. I laughed loudly. I danced with joy. I let my happiness be a kind of quiet rebellion, like saying, "You don't get to decide how I feel anymore during dinner." Mom walked past my table. She stopped, placed a shaky hand on the back of my chair, and said softly, "You look different." I met her eyes and replied, "I am." She started to say something, but I gently raised my hand and said, "I'm here for Christine, not for you," and that was enough. Her eyes looked glassy, but it wasn't because she was sad. It wasn't. Grief.it was because, for the first time, she saw what she had lost. She saw me, not the version of me they could use, not the one who gave in and kept helping. I wasn't their rescue boat anymore. I had become a lighthouse shining from far away, bright, still, safe, but untouchable. During the wedding toast, my dad raised his glass and looked my way like he expected me to do something: smile, nod, offer peace. But I didn't move. I didn't lift my glass. I didn't pretend. Peace doesn't come from acting like nothing happened. Peace comes from walking through pain and deciding not to carry someone else's burden anymore. I was done carrying theirs that night. I danced until my feet hurt. I sang until my voice cracked, and when it was all over, I left without saying goodbye. When I got home, I did one last thing. I turned off the final autopay from my childhood. It's been a year now, a year since they took $45,000 from me. A year since that voicemail that broke more than my trust. A year since I stopped picking up their calls and started answering my own needs. The guilt, it doesn't hit the same way anymore. It used to feel like an alarm in my chest, loud and painful. Now it's just a quiet noise I can shut off with truth. And the truth is, I gave them more than money. I gave them access to my heart, and they treated it like a bank account, a card they could swipe without thinking, with no limit. But that card is closed now. I've built something new, my own apartment, my own business, and a group of friends who don't use the word family as a weapon. Friends who don't drain me to feel full, who don't need something from me to stay close. This year, on my birthday, my phone didn't ring. And no card. No fake text from them. Nothing. But I did get a knock at my door. It was Christine, standing there with a cake and candles. She looked at me and whispered, "You were never the problem. You were just the first to escape." We lit the candles together. We didn't make wishes. We just breathed, because healing isn't always loud. Sometimes healing is choosing not to open the door even when loneliness comes knocking, wearing a face that looks like love. I stopped chasing blood tear eyes. I started choosing soul tear eyes. The kind of people who don't ask for your energy just to feel okay. The kind who call you not because they need help, but because they care. MOM still posts fade updates online. Dad still plays the victim in family talks, but their voices don't echo in my life anymore. I've built walls made of self-respect, and now I don't care what they say because I don't belong to them anymore. I belong to me. Fully, finally, freely.